There you go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our first first talk in the Fall 2021 Speaker Series, Design for Aging, Dying, and Dignity. We have an awesome lineup over the next 4 weeks. We're excited that you're all here with us. These events were organized by my coworker, Rachel Wiley. I'm filling in for her this evening as the host, and she'll be back with us next week. I'm Chrissy Meyer. I'm the operations director at Yestermorrow. Tonight's talk is Keeping Families Together, How Architecture Can Support Aging, Dying, and Dignity, and it's presented by Julie Lineberger. Julie leads both Wheelpad, L3C, and LineSync architecture in Southern Vermont. Her focus is social responsibility at all levels, which has gained her B Corp certification for her businesses. She presents and consults on various aspects of business management regularly. Julie's previous career in international development included managing and participating in projects through the United Nations Development Program, the International Rescue Committee, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees throughout the world. Hailing originally from California, Julie is bilingual in English and Spanish and holds a Bachelor of Communications and Sociology from University of California, San Diego, and a Master of Education from Harvard University. Tonight's talk will explore the current state of accessible housing in the US and aspects of universal design for families who are considering caring for loved ones at home. While Julie's presenting throughout the presentation, you're welcome to ask questions in the chat box or on the Q&A box on Zoom. We'll be monitoring both. You can also comment on the Facebook Live if you're joining us there. For the second half of the hour of this presentation, it's going to be a little bit more discussion based. So I'll be reading out the questions that you have all asked in the Q&A or the chat box. And Julie will also have some questions for you as the audience, and you can respond to those questions in the chat box. With that, thanks again for joining us all this evening, and I'll let Julie take it from here.
Great, welcome. This is very fun. It's exciting. Wheelpad is growing as our thing is to keep families together. And we have found a way to do that is a bit inclusive, but also gives people their own space and their own dignity. Inclusion is our name of the game. This is an example, it's a photograph of an ad pad meeting. It's a 200 square foot accessible bedroom, and you can see in the back bathroom that can, through that door on the left, we build a connector so it attaches to an existing home. And through the right, which you can barely see, is a sliding glass door that we add a ramp. So this enables of someone, if there's a loved one in the family who all of a sudden has mobility issues, not only can you make your house accessible for them within 2 weeks, they also have their own space. And if a caregiver is needed to come in and help, they can access the ad pad without disrupting the entire house. A lot of people, especially seniors, don't want to move in with their family members because they feel they'll be completely disruptive. Another reason is because a lot of people's houses, especially here in Vermont, are not accessible. So what happens? Seniors end up living in facilities where they really don't want to. They want to be around family, but they don't want to be in the family's way. They sometimes, when there's no option, a family will bring them home and try to make a bathroom accessible for them. They will put a hospital bed in the middle of a living room, which obviously who wants to live in a fishbowl like that? Certainly not a senior who is used to having their own space in their own life. So what we found out was that, I don't know where I am on my videos there. That's what people are doing now. So these are two questions that I'd like you to think about. And if you have, put them in the chat. Only 7% of families in the United States that need accessible housing have it. 7%. And that's not including the people who temporarily want to have a loved one move in with them. And then what do they do? So what are people doing now? Like I said, sometimes they're in nursing homes or facilities where they really don't want to be, solely because the house is inaccessible. Or if they are, they push someone out of their bedroom. They have a hospital bed in the middle of the living room. There's a lot of situations they just don't like, but that's what a family does if they want to keep their family together. Then with the nursing homes or the facilities, they're amazingly expensive. You have to give up all your life savings pretty much to have Medicare or Medicaid pay for that. So right now we're in situations that it's really not tenable. And what I like about the design field is that, okay, we're the creatives. We don't like what's happening in the world right now when it comes for people who are aging and dying, that want to still, I mean, people can be dignified till the very end of their life. They don't need to be holed off in a nursing home. And not all nursing homes are difficult. And not all nursing homes are unpleasant. Many are wonderful. They're extremely expensive. So how do we change the paradigm? How do we, the creatives, start thinking about design for people who are aging, who are dying, who want dignity, or just simply people with mobility issues? It's costing too much. We're doing something wrong, and we need to figure out how to do it better. So what I'm going to talk to you about is, oops, one, what are we doing properly? What are good? What is good? What are various options that we can give people? And one is, in the picture there is my husband, an architect. And this is what we call an ad pad. I'm going to show you a little model of this ad pad. This is one of our wheel pad models. This is the ad pad. There's the small door that connects to the house. There's the large door. And it was developed in mind for people to be able to just, it fits all agency of transportation guidelines. So you can just pick it up with like a 350 engine or larger and just roll it right on home. And in our designing this for dignity, there's two things that are unique about this. One is on the inside. Here's your little bed. We've designed it so you can have your bed and you have your TV across the way. We've designed it so it's a lot of light. There's, that people can see in and look out, which is the main thing. And we also designed it with a track for a Hoyer lift, because many people need help in transferring from a wheelchair to the shower or to get up or whatever. So this is one aspect of something that people can do. And the way this family, this ad pad was placed in Burlington. And what they chose to do was make, on the right-hand side, you see a whole new entry to their house. And with it, on the way to their house, the mother has a little tea room. This woman is in her 90s, and they thought, oh, one day, many years from now, we'll do something like an ad pad. And then she fell, and she didn't want to be in the nursing home after the first 6 weeks. She wanted to be with her daughter and her daughter's family. So what they did, that you see on the left, they put the ad pad in the back of the house, and it's just on the driveway there in Burlington. And what is wonderful, what Doris likes so much about it, is that she's with family, but she can close that sliding glass door, and that her house is closed. They have to knock to come in. She knocks to go in their room. So she's with family. Her daughter's not driving a half hour each way to make sure she's being properly cared for. So it's that part that gives her the dignity. She's a painter, so she still paints in her ad pad. So I'd love for us when the discussion parts are, so if you can jot down things that you think, okay, this is what our culture is doing properly, but we're also doing things improperly. What can we do? Here I'm going to, this is the people who first trialed our ad pad, and I'm going to have you watch this little video from that. And I have to see if I can do this properly. And I thought I had it all. Sorry. I am a neophyte when it comes to this type of presentation, so I have to find out where I put the video for you. Chrissy, let's see, how can I do this? If I have to escape, that's what I have to do, right? Out of,
If you escape out and then hit share screen again, you'll get all the different options of your different windows that are open.
okay, so I'm trying to escape and it's not like, oh, maybe I stopped sharing my screen. There we go. And I'm not seeing the video I had lined up. Okay, I hope you can edit this.
We'll take this part out of the recording.
Yeah, take this part out of the recording.
Thanks,
So,
folks, who are tuning in, for being patient with us.
yes, thank you very much. And I will get, if this is what I need. Okay. We had it all set up before. Nope. Okay, I'm going to relax and I'm going to get this going. And
from roof to foundation, the damage to your home
Go
caused by
ahead and hit
cold
share
gutters
your
is
screen.
devastating. Leaf Filter will protect your entire home by preventing leaking roofs,
Are you
rotting
seeing
wood and
this
fascia,
ad?
and flooded basements. Designed to withstand the harshest weather conditions. Once our ladders go up, you can put yours down forever.
Okay, here we are finally.
Which includes a porch in about 7 working
I'm
days.
going to start this over, and here we go.
The main objective of the wheel pad is to provide a temporary addition to the home that's fully accessible so that mobility issues can be at home sooner and not have to wait for modifications to the house that might be necessary.
We've had a lot of interest, but people don't know how it works. One of the best things about the wheel pad is actually that you don't know how it's going to work, because it's not going to work the same for everybody. I just think it's so versatile that people can make it work for them in all different kinds of ways.
The wheel pads have been designed with healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, and we really listen to them for the best arrangement of windows, light, air, high ceilings, lots of space. We wheeled this in here in one day, and we made the connection, which includes a porch, in about 7 working days. The first feature is just a ramp. It's the new front door of the house. So here we are at the front door of the wheel pad. Took some visual cues. Notice these 3 mullions are replicated with these 3. Basically, this is the new front entrance, and welcome to the wheel pad. We have a connector right here from the house to the new wheel pad. And the connector is finished with this wonderful birch veneer walls. Essentially, you're looking at a fully weatherized connector.
What hits home is when it's delivered to the site and when you see people using it, seeing them living their daily lives how they would in their normal circumstances, and seeing them heal.
One of the most useful features of the wheel pad is the idea of an integral hoist track, so that folks can come from the bed, to the bathroom and not have to go through that whole complicated process of a transfer.
Certainly, it's been wonderful being back home. The access to my family, my pets, my friends, my gardens, being back here, it's definitely healing. I know.
It's a way to bring you home now.
Okay, so am I back, Chrissy?
You're here. If you just hit share screen again, we can see your presentation again.
Okay. Thank you for helping me. Wait, what's this? I don't know where I am.
You can just, can you escape?
Mhm. I'm trying. Oh, there we are.
Here we go.
And you can see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. I must apologize to everybody. So that is the story of Cynthia Payne Meyer from Putney. She was our trial, and she knew that she had a short time to live after her accident. She was 59 years old when her family took boogie boarding, and she did one last wave, and she had a spinal cord injury. But she wanted to be at home for the last few years of her life. And so we were able to make it so that she could be home with the help of caregivers and be very peaceful with her animals. So another one that we had done with, this is Edmund Little, the man on the left that's sitting down. He really liked the idea of an ad pad, but he says, he had a disease called ALS, and he too knew that his life expectancy was very short at this point. And he said, you know, I really like the ad pad idea, but, you know, with ALS, I'm losing my legs, but I still want to sleep next to my wife. Build me something where I can have a queen size bed so my wife can be there with me. So we did that. Thankfully, as he is a veteran, all veterans can help make this affordable through the specially adapted housing grant from the VA. And this is where Edmund lived for the last few years of his life, again, with his family, his wife not having to go somewhere else to see him. His grandchildren, his children could all be there. He had the hoist lift, caregivers could help him. He would roll in to the left of this that you can't see here. He would have dinner and be with the family. But when he needed to retreat, he would be here by himself. And we have a couple of other models too. We're in the process of actually designing an accessible tiny house for people who even want a little bit more independence. So our origin story actually was not necessarily for people who were aging and dying. On the far left, you'll see Riley Poor, who was a videographer for extreme skiers. And he was doing a documentary for Simon Dumont when Simon won the X Games down at Mount Snow, which was Riley's home mountain. And as I said, he's our godson. And of course, we were expecting him to come for brunch the next day. It was just before his 26th birthday. And after Simon won the X Games, there was an accident in the pool. And his father came to me and said, Julie, we're not going to make it to brunch. I'm like, his just sounded awful. You know, there's been an accident. So this next video that hopefully we can do far more easily is going to show you a little bit of the origin story about what you really need to do is just show up, just be there. All right. Can you walk me through this again, Chrissy, how I did that before?
Sure. Do you have the YouTube link open on your browser?
I thought I did. That's the wrong one. Let's see if the other one's there. Okay. And here we go.
Let's make sure you hit share screen.
Okay,
It's
I
more
will
than
when
just
the
a me,
ad
unique every
finishes. Okay, so am I sharing screen?
We can't see your screen.
Okay, so I have to go back here. Here we go.
Looks like we've got a lot of extreme thinkers in this beautiful cinema. Anyone into extreme sports? Motocross, snowboarding, skiing? Anyone ever hear of Simon Dumont? Yeah. Well, my godson, Riley Poor, was a videographer. Hella skiing, taking videos. Actually, he was doing a documentary on Simon Dumont. And then he got offered his dream job at Nike. At that time, Simon was competing in the X Games at Mount Snow. Mount Snow was where my husband and I decided to start an architectural practice in a no stoplight town. But we met the Poor family. So that night, Simon won the X Games. Can you imagine the party? We're at Riley's home mountain where he learned to ski when he was 3. Simon won the X Games, his new job at Nike, and it was a huge celebration. Then it
Sorry.
on Simon Dumont. And then he got offered his dream job at Nike. At that time, Simon was competing in the X Games at Mount Snow. Mount Snow was where my husband and I decided to start an architectural practice in a no stoplight town. But we met the Poor family. So that night, Simon won the X Games. Can you imagine the party? We're at Riley's home mountain where he learned to ski when he was 3. Simon won the X Games, his new job at Nike, and it was a huge celebration. Then it happened. There was an accident in the pool. To this day, no one will say exactly what happened. The outcome? My rising star godson became quadriplegic 4 days before his 26th birthday. For 2 weeks, my husband and I had no idea what to do. We were attending to Riley and his family, and all we could do basically was show up. Didn't know what to do. Fast forward, Riley went to rehab. Riley actually moved to Portland, Oregon because Nike honored their job offer with adaptive equipment. He was doing his job. But in Portland, Oregon, he was in a temporary hotel room, accessible hotel room, like most people when they go to a new job, they get their little relocation. But he could not find, and looking all throughout Portland, Oregon, he could not find an accessible apartment where a caregiver could help him in the shower. Therefore, he was in this hotel room for 8 months. Can you imagine your new life using a wheelchair, that reality, at 26 years old? The Nike van would pick him up, take him to work. He's navigating his new reality in a wheelchair. He comes home. He's friggin' exhausted. There's no way he can go out to dinner or drinks with family or friends. He's isolated. They can't come there to him in the hotel room. It's awful. So I'm gonna lose my train of thought here because sometimes I get emotional telling the story so much later. So again, we didn't know what to do. We would simply show up and be there for Riley. 2 years later, Riley calls us up, his godparents with an architectural firm. Hey, I bought a house. Will you make it universally accessible for me? Finally, we knew what to do. It was by showing up in all these teeny ways that we didn't know what else to do that eventually we could figure out what it was we could do. And while our architectural firm was making Riley's
house accessible. I have a husband who's one of those creatives. I make things happen, but he's the creative. And he makes the impossible possible. He said, Riley, what if there was an accessible bedroom and bathroom that we could have attached to your parents' house? And then you could have been with family while you were figuring out your long-term solution. Wow, we were all sparking. And then Riley, Joseph, and I showed up and we created a new company, WheelPad. WheelPad is a 200 square foot accessible bedroom and bathroom that can be attached to an existing home within a week. So not only does it give privacy to the person with mobility issues, but because there's a ramp, it's attached to a back door or a window, and then there's a ramp the other side. So caregivers can come in and out without disrupting the rest of the family. We were on a roll. Then we found out, have you any idea how many people are languishing in nursing homes and facilities simply because they do not have accessible housing? Vets First of the United Spinal Cord Association says there are 4.3 million vets disabled. Of that, 1 million are languishing in facilities solely because their home is inaccessible. Now you add people like Riley and other people who have sports injuries or illnesses that a few years ago wouldn't be with us, but due to medical advances, they are. And on top of that, there are thousands and thousands of people that have their bedroom in the living room of a home because that is the only place that they can get to in their home. Before Riley's accident, I never even thought about these kind of things. But now, my friend Cynthia Payne Meyer, who broke her neck in 2 places boogie boarding on her 59th birthday, is home with her family, her friends bringing her meals, giving her all kinds of treatments, her gardens, her dog, because of WheelPad. Vietnam veteran Edmund Little is home with his wife in their WheelPad attached to their craftsman style home, service-related ALS. Julia with cerebral palsy is home. For us, being able to keep these families together is a dream come true. Riley was doing well, thriving, becoming the man he wanted to be and more. And his acupuncturist showed up and he had really debilitating, painful tremors. Showed up. And after 9 months of amazing work, she said, Riley, I'm sorry, but I can no longer be your physician. Riley was, oh my God. Well, can I ask why? And she says, because I've fallen in love with you. Today, Riley is 35 years old, living with the beautiful Andrea, his acupuncturist, getting promotion after promotion at Nike, literally living the life of Riley. We at WheelPad, we go to work with a smile, knowing we can keep families together. So we hope that our story, there are so many ways to show up, from minuscule words said at the right time to big, humongous ideas, that we only can figure out these ideas we're spreading if we show up to be there and see that potential. And we hope that our journey inspires you to use your gifts, big or small, for the healing of us all. Thank you.
Are you still seeing me?
Yep. And so you can just
fine.
pop back over to your presentation now.
Okay, I'm there now, and you can't see my thing. Oh, here, resume share. Are you seeing my presentation screen?
I'm still seeing the YouTube screen.
Okay, so I'm gonna then go back to share screen and go here. Okay, there we go. That should be our final. Now are you seeing it?
All good? Yep.
Okay, so that should be our final disruption. So in the middle, that was with Riley and me figuring out how to do his house and all that. And on the far right, you see Riley and the beautiful Andrea. And they now have a business called Hayes Riley Poor, so Poorhouse Love Lab. And they talk about being an interabled couple. There's many interabled couples these days who are doing everything they can to make life more accessible for everyone. The last thing I want to talk about before we get into the discussion is one of our processes for doing this, and this is where it comes to design, is the rasa table process. This is people from my architectural firm, and what we do is we come up with a problem. Like, okay, we want to have an accessible design for seniors. We want to have a place where if someone knows that they're dying, that they can come home, that they can, you know, whatever it is, but I'm using the wheelpad example. And so everyone comes up with something. We have the parameters around it, and everyone draws something. And we take literally 5 minutes. That's it. You get 5 minutes to make your sketches. And then everyone sits back and everyone presents their little sketch. Now, the key to a rasa table, and rasa is from tabula rasa, the key to a rasa is then you explain your thing, but you hear other people's ideas and you then steal their ideas, which is good. And what we have found through this inclusive process, we do it 2 times, sometimes 3. And people steal others' ideas and they develop a process. So when we're talking about designing for aging, dying, and while maintaining dignity, you've got a number of people working together. When we have a project, we often include the client in with on the rasa table process. And it's really exciting because it's just so much better than coming up with one idea alone. And why isn't this going to my next slide? So this is where I'd like us to then go. I'd like us to talk about and use the chat, use whatever. I hope you have some ideas about what are some of the positive factors to think about when choosing home care to keep families together. And what are some of the challenging factors? You know, one that we were dealing with was how to keep separate spaces, but still have people have access to each other. And is this option, keeping families together for aging and dying, is that for everyone? And if it's not, you know, what are other options that we as creatives can come up with? Is our current way of dealing with aging and dying and dignity acceptable? Our current architectural options, you know, as many people talk about nursing homes or assisted living, you know, they feel like they're warehouses. What could be done differently? Are you familiar with, there's a village concept there's a few in the United States, but they're more out in Europe, where there's an actual village and people have their own things. And if they go time and time again to a store or this or that, but they're still safe, you know, is that something we should explore more, these type of villages for people with Alzheimer's? So what hurdles do we need to organize for and jump to make design be more prevalent and more effective in the community for people who are aging and dying and want to do so either with families, but either way with dignity? So with that, I'm going to stop my share and pass it back to Chrissy for some discussion. And Chrissy? Chrissy? There you are. Did I stop sharing my screen yet?
Yeah, we can't see your screen. Sorry, my whole computer just crashed for a moment. So you're not the only one with tech issues tonight. So I'm sorry if I missed something. I'm back now.
No, I was just posing the questions and asking people to please put in the chat or the Q&A so that we can actually discuss how those of us in the design profession can affect positive change for people who are aging or dying and or have other issues, but deserve their dignity. So I think
Folks at home, if you want to chime in on the chat, we'd love to hear from you.
Has anyone seen some of the villages that have been created for people with Alzheimer's? Like there are these little villages that there's a store, because a lot of times people with Alzheimer's wander, they try to go back home. So they've created these villages that have store and a bank and a this and a that, and it's all in a safety. So if someone wanders away from their house or whatever, and that's one option. What are some other things that people have seen or would be curious about explaining?
From Joanne, we have amazing information. Love the wheel pad concept. So helpful when caring for a family member.
Yes, thank you, Joanne.
Kim asks, what zoning issues have you run into with the wheel pad?
That is an excellent question, because we were told, hey, if you leave them on wheels, it's like having an RV in your yard and it's no big deal. Well, that was not the case. We have done everything for the town of Brattleboro. They were a little outside the city center. You don't need a permit. Same in a couple other places. To establish installing one on Cape Cod. That took about 4 months. When the most difficult one was one in Millis, Massachusetts, that took about 6 months. And every time we've never had a problem. We've placed over 15 of these at this point, and each time, like for Cynthia Payne Meyer, it was all the zoning laws in Putney would not allow it. Within a week, the town rallied around the Payne Meyer family, who were very involved in the community, and passed the zoning laws so that we could install their ad pad. We've installed them, like I said, in Burlington, in Jericho, Vermont, in upstate New York, in New Hampshire, and Nebraska. Just have not had a problem in the long run with the zoning issues. So we work with our customers on getting their permits in place. That's part of our service.
I have a few like logistical questions, just thinking about like wheel pads versus like tiny houses on wheels. Specifically how you get power and water into the wheel pad, and water, gray water and black water out.
Right. We are in the process of actually designing an accessible tiny house where we will have to deal with these issues differently. With the ad pad and Edmund Little's Excel pad, it takes a plumber approximately 4 hours to hook into the wastewater system, the water and sewer, or if it's a leach field, the same thing, to hook it up. It takes about 4 hours to do everything it needs to do. And when we unhook it, when people don't need it anymore, then it takes about an hour to unhook. And it's about the same for electric. One family had to put in a larger system, a larger electric box. But again, it took them just like 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours to hook it into the host home and put it out. There's certain areas you can separate the gray water from the wastewater, which we would like. We have an option, a solar option, but it's ridiculously expensive, so no one has done that yet. And I'm looking at this next thing about the cost, and this has been our most difficult thing is the cost. When we started off, we were selling the ad pads for $69,000. with the pandemic, we have we have 4 different manufacturers. All of our manufacturers are 4 to 6 months out. And our costs are such that, our margins are so razor thin, but we have to sell what we used to sell for 69,000. For now, we're selling them for 97,500. And that's with us almost, well, we used to make $15,000 on each unit. Now we're only making 13,000. We have incorporated as a L3C, which is a low income limited liability company. My architectural firm was the first B Corp certified architectural firm in the state of Vermont, which is what we want Wheelpad to be as well. We want, so our aim is not to make the most money possible. Our aim is to keep as many families together as possible. So given these pandemic pricings, what we're trying to do now is create our own manufacturing facility or work with one facility so that we can lower the costs, that we can, again, make it more affordable to people. In the meantime, we've worked with a number of financial institutions that will now make it so if you purchase an ad pad, you can get your payment down to something like, oh gosh, I'm going to, RJ's the one that's been doing this, but under $800 a month. And if you get the payments down, you think of nursing homes or other facilities that are up and anywhere from $3,000 to $9,000 a month. So we try to make it as affordable as possible. So the assistance that we found available right now is either if you are a vet through the specially adapted housing grant, or through, we have one person in Moortown who was injured while on the job, and extreme worker compensation pays for the entire thing. And yes, we have, I'm looking at the works of who's ever work of heart, the work of heart, to say, yes, we have 2 lease models and we're building a 3rd lease model. And yes, they can be easily removed and passed on to another as long as they stay on their wheels. We have put one on helical piers for a permanent installation. And when the family no longer needed it, you can crane them off the helical piers. And we have a buyback program, so that can help a family in the end. It depends on, how much it's been used, what we have to do to get it off the helical piers, that sort of thing with a crane. But yes, they can be removed and passed on if they stay on their wheels. It's very, very easy. We just move it from one place to another. With the small lots, when access is minimal, you said 8 foot wide, Wheelpad cannot come in pieces because it's all manufactured, but it's only, it's meant to travel on all agency of transportation roads. So it's only, it's 6'8" wide and 21 feet long. So like it fits as that one slide for the Burlington home. That's their access to the backyard was also 8 feet. And we just slid it right in there. We have an amazing driver. And so Kim, yes, I think I answered your question. You can, right now we will buy it back. And hopefully as we do more and more of these, we will have a whole resale system. And the buyback works, Mac, by we have a 3rd party person, either who the customer wants, or we have people who will do that, who will evaluate it. We look at the cost it would be for us to refurbish it or not. And at this point though, we're a fairly new company. We've only been selling these for 3 years. We don't have any. We thought when Edmund Little had died that Anna, his wife, would want to sell it. So, okay, we have our buyback program. And Anna just said, oh no, this is where I feel closest to Edmund. No, the family uses the rest of the house when they visit, but no, I'm keeping and she has what we call an XL pad. So we haven't worked out all the details of the buyback, but that's our commitment and we will be doing it. Oh, thank you, Bobby, if the message was from you. And I don't know if there's questions on the question and answer, any other comments or whatever, but I'm happy to address them.
How many houses do you build each year?
Well, it depends on demand. Right now, with our pandemic issues, I just got an order for 4 from Green Mountain Support Services, who has housing for people who fall through the cracks or whatever. They just bought a duplex. So they're going to put one ad pad on, both halves of the duplex for both duplexes. So they've ordered that, but my manufacturer is backed up. I can't get that to them till March. This year we expect to sell about 14. The next year, in 2022 or 23, we expect to sell about 21. But right now, those we've been working with marketing partners out of Burlington, and they're doing such a good job that we may have to up that and use all of our manufacturers. We really want to stay a Vermont-based business and keep the revenue in Vermont, but we're we're juggling right now to just get as many manufactured as possible.
That's amazing. I admire how you've been able to be resilient through the pandemic. I know it's not easy.
No, it's not. And that's what had us sell out. Before the pandemic, most of our customers were for spinal cord injuries or a disease. And with the pandemic, people were like, how soon can you get my father out of the nursing home? And one people like, as soon as this is the one in Brattleboro, as soon as we knew that they would let us place it there, they took him out of the nursing home before COVID could get him. And he was in their living room for 2 weeks before we could have it properly installed. And with that, the one on Cape Cod was also for keeping someone out of a nursing home, as was the one in Millis, Massachusetts, and the one in Nebraska. So, with the COVID, it was just kind of, whoa, it blew up, which is great. And we're on a very strong learning curve at this point to try to keep everything going. Mm-hmm. One of your people at Yestermorrow has recently joined us. I think she teaches a few things and has taken a few classes, Najat Kroll. And we're happy to have her on our team, as she and basically everyone who works with line sync architecture and Wheelpad, it's for people who want to do design, but they want to do it with a meaning. What do you want them just to build second homes for very wealthy people, which pays the bills? And I don't want to bemoan that, because there's a way to do that environmentally and carefully and guide a client. At the same time, Wheelpad, having both, we have our architectural practice that, yes, we're very excited that we did the new Corinthia Base Lodge, because we called it the greening of Mount Snow. We were able to create a lot of sustainable features for the ski lodge that normally wouldn't happen. And that's fun, and it's nice, and it's cool. We created the first biofuel multi-layered, oh gosh, I don't even know how to say it, so I'm going to show it. Multi-layered fireplace, because they wanted us to put just a fireplace between 2 airplane hangar doors to bring the outside in. And we thought, gosh, no matter how big we make that fireplace, it's going to be dwarfed. So we came up with this. And when they were arguing, oh, you can't use biofuel, it'll stink, or how will you get it? It'll be too expensive, this or that, with a bit of forethought, research, etc. So this is the first biofuel field. We call it a firewall in existence, and it's really awesome. So there's so many ways to make design workable and to contribute to the positive evolution of our humankind.
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions from the folks at home? Feel free to pop those in the chat or comment on the Facebook page. I don't want to hog all the questions, but I had another one. If you wouldn't mind me asking.
Go ahead, please.
I noticed that just the aesthetic of the wheel pad, they're beautiful. I was just curious if you ever do like customization based on the client's aesthetic.
We do. I wish I had more ease and could show you the inside of that one in Burlington. If you go to our Facebook page or our website, which is wheelpad.com, and we also have a Facebook page, there's more photos of the different things. And Doris Weeks is an artist, and how she decorated her ad pad, it's like not even the same thing as some of the others who just, they don't care about that. They just want to be home. And so it's very interesting. But when we were designing it, because we were designing it with Riley in mind, it was very important for us to, as Joseph calls it, it had to be the coolest room in the house. We didn't want it to be adapted. A lot of times people just do, you put in the rant, it just looks hospitally, and we wanted it to be cool, which is why we have the windows the way they are, so that people can still participate in life and enjoy it.
I've been able to visit the wheel pad at Tiny House Fest a few times, and I can attest it's very beautiful inside, very comfortable, and feels like home.
Thank you.
I put in the chat a link to the Wheelpad website and also the Wheelpad Facebook page if anybody wants to check those out.
And I think I'm going to put in what's a really easy way to see it is YouTube. We have a number of videos. There's one that's like 8 minutes that's all about how we developed the wheel pad. We had friends who use wheelchairs helping us vet it. We worked with occupational therapists, physical therapists, case managers, as well as people who used wheelchairs to really, we used that Rasa table process I was telling you about to really figure out how to make this design work, not how we as people that aren't in need of one think they might want it, but how people actually use it.
That's great.
So I'm sure some of the people who are on have family members that are in the situation towards their end of their life, whether it's because of age or a disease or a disability. And, what are people doing? Is that working for your family? Are people wanting to do something different? And I'd love to hear somebody else's story.
Does anybody from home have similar experiences or something they'd like to share about how they're navigating that? Give a second for people to type.
Sorry?
Just going to give everybody a moment to type.
Yeah. Yeah, because quite frankly, I'll talk about it and people say, oh, I love it. It's a great idea, but it's not for our family. And I'm like, that's great. What option are you using? And it's not for everybody, because you have to navigate different personalities. You have to navigate the financial aspects of it. And sometimes that can bring up a lot of family issues that otherwise remain hidden. But for those families who do want to stay together, I'd like to just present this as one option.
Great. Well, we're almost up on our hour. So I wanted to say thank you, Julie, for your time. Thank you for sharing with us. I learned a lot, really impressed by the work that you do. And I'm really grateful for you sharing your knowledge and your work with us and the Yestermorrow community.
Well, it's been a pleasure to be here. Anyone, please feel free to contact me, email me. It's so easy to find us, but it's basically julie@wheelpad.com. If you have any questions, We are going to be hiring people to help build wheel pads in the next 2 years. So if anyone has an interest in that aspect of the career, and we're constantly improving with each version of each model. So keep up the good design work. I like the topic of this particular series. I think there's a lot of times people don't realize that we really need the intersection of design with different things that are going on socially in terms of your life and the social connections that we have. And this particular topic, I think, is really appropriate. So thank you very much, Chrissy. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you. We'll be back next week, same time. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you.
Thank you.